What's up, everybody? This is Domingo Hero Network, and today's Yu-Gi-Oh video I'm going to be doing, guys. I'm on Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel, and I'm going to show you guys a deck profile that I use in the Extra Zero Festival, and that's my Familiar Possessed Charmer deck. Yes. So a few weeks back there was like a Extra Zero Festival that happened, and it's already finished. It's been finished. It's like a few weeks ago, I think. And also, there's another festival we're doing now. This is the Duelist Cup. So, and also, guys, stay tuned. I will do dual replays of the Duelist Cup of my Familiar Possessed Charmer. But right now, I'm gonna focus on the Familiar Possessed Charmer that I use in the No Extra Festival. So here it is, guys. So this is the deck. Of course, in the No Extra Festival, there was overall, I like that festival. It's actually a pretty good festival because you have to play like main deck cards and no extra deck cards, and like no fusions, no singles, no cards in the extra deck. So we had to play only main deck cards, and this Charmer deck actually did well. Got some wins, got some losses and stuff. And I will show you the dual replays coming up soon. So yeah, and also I'm gonna do one later on. So I will upload that video later on here on YouTube. But yes, I'm gonna show you the deck profile that I use, the Familiar Possessed Charmer that I use in the No Extra Festival. So here we go. So let's start off with with the monsters in the main deck. We got one copy of Maxi. Maxi's pretty good. We already know what it does. It's a very good hand trap. Of course, you draw one card, each time your opponent special summon the monster, so it's pretty cool. Next, we got another good hand trap, 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. Pretty cool. These are the only hand traps I play in this deck. 1 Maxi and 2 Ash is actually fine in my opinion. It did pretty well. It would have been cool if I want to play like multiple of these, but I don't want to play like too many hand traps, so I think the 1 Maxi and the 2 Ash is fine in my opinion, because you don't want to play too much hand traps and stuff. And even if I want to play like more Maxis and more, it's just that there's no room for it. So yeah. Next one, we're gonna go with the Familiar Possessed Charmer monsters. We got 1 copy of Ulsa, the Earth Charmer. 1 copy of Area, that's the Water Charmer. 1 copy of Hita, that's the Fire Charmer. 1 copy of Wind, that's the Wind Charmer. 1 copy of Darks, and that's the Dark Charmer. So yep, and also 1 copy of Lina, that's the Light Charmer. So these are one of each of the Familiar Possessed Charmers. Of course, in this deck, in the Familiar Possessed deck, you want to focus more on the attributes, their names, their attacks, and defense, because they have. So that's what you want to focus on the most in this Familiar Possessed Charmer. Now they all have like the same effect, inflict damage to your opponent, all that stuff. But we're not really going to use the effect. We're just using them for their attributes, for their names, for their attack, and for defense. That's the focus on this Familiar Possessed Charmer deck. Now we're going to go on with the animal monsters that are pretty good in this deck. We got 1 copy of Inaugural Fire, 2 copies of the Necrophilius Archfiend Eaters of Necrophilius. We also got 2 copies of Gigabyte, and also 2 copies of Ran Ryu. So those are the monsters. They all have the same effect where you can only control one of them. And if you control a spellcaster monster, you can special summon it from your hand. So it's a pretty good free special summon. And the good thing about that, if you got those with the different attributes, and you got Awakening of Possessed, they can all gain like more attack points and stuff, which is pretty cool, of the different attributes and stuff. Next, we're gonna play another good card for Charmers. 3 copies of the Fairy Tale Luna. Luna's pretty good. She's also 1850 attacks, just like the Familiar Possessed monsters. Her effect is when she's normal summoned, you can add 1 spellcaster monster with 1850 attack from your deck in your hand. And her second effect is once per turn, quick effect. You can target 1 face-up monster your opponent control. Your opponent has to send 1 card with that monster's name from their deck or extra deck to the graveyard to negate this effect. Otherwise, return both this card and that monster to the hand. So it's like a composer, bounce back. Your opponent's monster also bounce back Luna and stuff. But your opponent could negate it if they have the same name monster from the deck, main deck, or the extra deck too. So it's pretty good. Luna is one of the most important cards in this deck as well, especially since. And the good thing about this card, you can also normal summon Luna. You can search for another Luna as well, which is pretty cool. Next, we got another Fairy Tale monster. We got Fairy Tale Rashka. Rashka, she's pretty good in this game as well. Her effect, she's also 1850, which you can search with Luna, and her effect is when this card is normal summon, you can make your opponent gain 500 life points. Then your opponent look at the top 3 cards in your deck and choose one of them for you to add it to your hand. Also shuffle the rest back into the deck. You can only use this effect of Rashka once per turn. So it's pretty cool, and also she has another effect which once per turn, if this card battle before damage, you can send it to the graveyard if you want to, but you don't want to use that effect. You just want to focus on the normal summoning effect because, yeah, I mean your opponent gets 500 life, but who cares about that? Because you want to force your opponent to look at the top 3 cards in your deck, and then they're gonna choose one for you to add it to your hand and shuffle the rest of the deck. So it's pretty good because Rashka did help a lot in this game. Like, I remember in the past I won a couple duels with Rashka, and Rashka really helps. It really helps out this deck, especially like you're forcing your opponent to pick one of the 3 cards for you and add it to your hand. So that's pretty cool as well. And there's like so many good cards you can add to your hand, so it's really amazing. Alright, so the last 2 monsters, we got the Awakening of Possessed monsters. We got the Earth attribute, which is the Awakening of Possessed Necrophili's Archfiend. 1 copy of that one, and 1 copy of the other Awakening of Possessed. This is the God Gigabyte, the Water attribute. So I like these 2. I like these probably better than the Fire and the Wind. The Fire and the Wind is good, but these 2 are pretty good. The reason why I like to play these is because if you ever go first and summon these, you can actually summon these and use their effects in the first turn. So this one lets you special summon a level 4 lower monster from your graveyard, but its effect is negated. This one lets you discard 1 random card from your opponent's hand, discard it to the graveyard, and then both players draws 1 card. And they both have the same effect where if it's sent to the field to the graveyard, you can add 1 spiritual water art card or 1 possessed spell and tracker for your deck's hand. So being search for your Awakening of Possessed, search for your possessed partnerships, and also searches for your unpossessed. So it's pretty cool. It's really good cards, so I like to play these better. And also that's it for the monsters. Now we're gonna go on to the spells. We got 1 copy of Regenki. Regenki's pretty good, you know. 1 copy of Harvey's Feather Duster. Harvey's Feather Duster is pretty good as well. Regenki, I know in real life this card is at 3, but in the game it's only at 1. Maybe in the future, maybe if we ever get a ban list that is actually good, they might put Regenki to 1. Maybe. But we'll see. Anyway, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 copy of Terraform. Now, the reason why I play Terraform is because we're going to search for our field spell. And since, you know, all these Charmer monsters and stuff like that is spellcasters, we can actually play this card, which is 3 copies of Secret Village of the Spellcaster. This is one of the best field spells in this card. I like this one better than Ichirin. Ichirin was okay, but I just like Secret Village better because what this card does, if you only control a spellcaster monster, your opponent cannot activate spell cards. If you control no spellcaster monster, you cannot activate spell cards. So just keep that in mind. So once you get your spellcaster monsters and then you activate the Secret Village, you're pretty much good to go. If you have, like, let's say either of these Familiar Possessed monsters, Secret Village, Awaken the Possessed, and let's say you got the Unpossessed, you're pretty much good to go. And your opponent's gonna have a hard time trying to stop you because, you know, they're not gonna activate the spells, and also Familiar Possessed Charmers, you know, protects your Familiar Possessed monsters from being destroyed by card effects. Unpossessed, you know, just in case if the Familiar Possessed monster get destroyed by battle, whatever, you can special summon another one for the deck and stuff. So it's pretty cool. So 3 copies of Awaken and Possess. Very good continuous spell card, one of the most important ones. I love this card at 3, honestly. 3 is pretty good. What this card does is monsters you control gain 300 attack points for each different attribute you control. Charmers and Familiar Possessed monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if a spellcaster monster with 1850 attack, original attack, is normal or special summon to your field, draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Awaken the Possessed once per turn. So the drawing effect is a hard once per turn. Just keep that in mind. But if you have like 2 or 3 of them on the field, you only have to draw 1 card because that's a hard once per turn. Now, the first effect, the one that gains 300 attack points, that's the most important thing because you want to increase your monster's attack point, give them more beat sticks, as long as you have like monsters with the different attributes in order to do it. So it's pretty good. Really awesome continuous spell. One of the best cards for this deck is Awaken the Possessed. So it's pretty cool. This card, like I said, could be searched with, you know, with your Awaken the Possessed monsters. So it's pretty cool. Next, we got 2 copies of Called by the Grave. Of course, in this game, you can play 2 because we already know what it does. I know in real life it's at 1. Maybe in real life it could be up to 2 or 3. Hey, who knows, you know? 3 copies of Spirit Charmer. This is one of the most important cards you got to play. Its effect says discard 1 card. Take 2 cards from your deck with different names from each other that are Charmer monsters, Familiar Possessed monster, and / or possessed spells and traps. Add 1 of them to your hand and set the other one. you can only activate one spell charm per turn. So this is one of the most important cards you got. Now the only bad thing about it is that your opponent could like Ash Blossom and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. But you know, other than that, it's pretty good because like you want to search for, you know, for your possess and also your possess spells and traps as well. So it's pretty cool. Next, we got 3 copies of Possess Partnerships. This card at 3 is really amazing. What this card does is you special summon one spellcaster monster with 1500 defense from your hand or graveyard attack position or face down defense position. Then, if you control monsters with 2 or more different attributes, you could destroy one face-up card on the field. The other effect says you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one possessed continuous spell / trap in your graveyard, place it face up on your field. You can only activate one possessed effect per turn only once that turn, so it's a very hard once per turn, so just keep that in mind. It's pretty good, you know, special summon a spellcaster monster 1500 attack in your graveyard or from your hand as well, which is pretty cool. And also if you have like 2 or more monsters with different attributes, you can gain the second effect where the target the face-up card destroy it. It's pretty cool. And also you can banish it, and then if you have like your Unpossessed or your Awaken the Possessed in your graveyard, you can return it to your spells and traps zone face up. So it's pretty cool. Next, we got 1 copy of Solemn Warning and 2 copies of Solemn Strikes. I really love the Solemn Brigade. The Solemn Brigade is pretty good. Maybe I might want to put Judgment in, but the only thing is Solemn Judgment, you know, you have to pay half your life points, where Solemn Warning you just pay 2,000 and Strike you just pay 15. So maybe I might put Judgment, maybe not, but I just like to play like the 2 strikes and the 1 warning because it really helped out a lot. So Judgment is another card if you want to play as well, so it's pretty cool. And the last 2 cards to round out this deck is 2 copies of Unpossessed. Unpossessed is pretty good. It has an effect where charmer monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. And the other effect says if a familiar possessed monster you control attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 800 attack points during damage collision only. And another effect says if a monster you control is destroyed by battle by card effect, while this card is already face up in your spells and trap zone, you can special summon one spellcaster monster with 1500 defense from your deck whose attribute is different from at least one of those destroyed monsters' original attributes on the field, either face up attack position or face down defense position. You can only use this effect of Unpossessed once per turn. So it's pretty cool. Like, you know, if you have your familiar possessed monster and you attack during damage collision, it can gain the extra 800 life points, because the good thing about it, if you got Unpossessed and Awaken and Possessed, you know, they can gain more attack points and more beat sticks. So it's pretty cool. And also, like, if one of your monsters get destroyed, it could be any monster. You know, you can special summon the one of your familiar possessed monsters that has 1500 defense, special summon from the deck, you know, so it's pretty cool. So it's pretty cool. And like I said, once you get Unpossessed, and let's say you go Awaken and Possess, one of your monsters get destroyed, you activate Unpossessed, special summon one of these familiar possessed monsters, because they have 15 defense, special summon attack position, and then you can activate Awaken and Possess to draw that card. So it's pretty cool, especially during your opponent's turn. So it's pretty good. Alright guys, so that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed me familiar possessed deck profile that I use in the no extra festival that I use. And stay tuned, I have a couple of duel replays that I'm going to show you of this deck that I play against other decks during the during the no extra festival. So stay tuned for that, guys. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe, post your comments in the comments section. Tell me what you think about my familiar possessed deck charmer deck profile on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel that I use in the no extra festival. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. This is Domingo Hero Network. All I can say is take care, have a good day, goodbye everyone. Domingo Hero Network is signing out. Peace.